The first topic that we are going to review is arithmetic fractions. So we need to understand what is a fraction. If we are talking about fractions, is another name that we are going to call divisions, because a fraction is no other than a division of two numbers. So when we see a fraction, normally we use a number, a line, and another number. So how do we call every part of the fraction? The top part is normally called numerator, and the bottom part it's normally called denominator. There is another form to call the bottom and top part of a fraction, because let's put an example. If we have a pizza, imagine that it's 8 slices. Normally, if we select one slide, we say we have 1/8 of a pizza. That means we have a part of a whole. So numerator can be called part, denominator can be called also whole. So these are synonyms: numerator and part, denominator and whole. Now we are going to talk about classification of fractions. First, we have two big types of fractions. Ones are called proper fractions, and the other ones are called improper fractions. How do we know if a fraction is proper or improper? Proper fractions are fractions where numerator is smaller than denominator. Improper fractions are fractions where numerator is bigger than denominator. That means that proper fractions, if we make the division, it will give us a number less than 1. In improper fractions, if we make that division, it will give us a number bigger than 1. So proper fractions, the division is less than 1. Improper fraction, the division is more than 1. So this is like a little introduction about fractions and classification. So let's make a little exercise to identify some fractions as proper or improper fractions. So let's see. The first exercise, number 3, is smaller than 5. So this will be a proper fraction. In number or letter B, 2 is less than 4. So it's also a proper fraction. Letter C, 5 is bigger than 3, so it's an improper fraction. In D, 1 is less than 3, so that's a proper fraction. In letter E, 10 is bigger than 9, so it's an improper fraction. And 7 is bigger than 4, so it's also an improper fraction. So this is an easy task to do, to select if a fraction is proper or improper. Now we are going to see how to read or write fractions. The first stuff we are going to see how to read or write fractions where numerator, sorry, a little mistake here, where denominator is 20 or under. What does this mean? It means if we have a fractions where denominator is 20 or under, we are going to name it like this. We'll put numerator, then denominator, with the end THS. What does it mean? Let's see some examples in order to be more clear. Let's see these examples. Number 1, we have a 5 and a 7. So the rule tells me to say numerator, so 5, and denominator with the end THS, 5 sevenths. So it's easy. Number 2, it's 8 thirteenths. Number 3, it's 3 fifths. Number 4 is 15 19ths. Number 5, it's 12 eighths. And a special case is number 2, because in English, number 2 as a denominator, it's called half. Remember, number 2 is called half singular, halves in plural. So number 6 will be called 7 halves. So it's easy to read or write fractions with denominator 20 or under 20. Now let's see how to read or write fractions where denominator is bigger than 20. It's going to be easier. Why? We only need to put the numerator, the word over, and then denominator. So let's see some examples in order to be more clear. So let's see these 4 exercises of how to read or write fractions with a denominator bigger than 20. In the first example, we will use 7 over 25. In the second one, we have 18 over 35. In the third one, we have 27 over 70. And in the fourth one, we have 55 over 43. So this is the form that we are going to use to read or write fractions where the denominator is bigger than 20. The next part will be fraction simplification, that is not other thing that dividing a fraction or dividing numerator and denominator by the same number. That means that we are going to simplify the fraction dividing by the same number the top and the bottom part of the fraction. So let's see. Here we have divisibility criteria to see if a number is divisible by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So let's see what's important. To know if a number is divided by 2, the last digit is divisible by 2. That can be also known as if the last number ends on 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. To be divisible with number 3, the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. We see there an example, 8, 7, 2, and 4. If we make that sum, it's 21. 21 is divisible by 3. That means that 8,724 is divided or divisible by 3. Number 4, for be divisible by number 4, the numbers made by the last two digits must be divisible by 4. In the example, 8,724, 24 is divisible by 4. That means that that number is divisible by 4. Number 5 is easier. If the last digit is 0 or 5, that number is divisible by 5. Number 6, the number is divisible by both 2 and 3. So in order to know if a number is divisible by 6, you need to see if it's divisible by 2 and by 3. Number 7 is a little tricky. The number is 0 or divisible by 7 after removing, doubling, and subtracting the last digit from the number. This one is very tricky. I will recommend to manually use the division by 7 to see if it's divisible by 7. Number 8, it's the number made by the last three digits. It's divisible by 8. So 720 must be divisible by 8. Number 9, the sum of the digits is divisible by 9. You need to make something similar than in case number 3. You make the sum of all the numbers, and if the sum makes a number, in this case 18, that it's divisible by 9, will be divisible by 9. And to know if someone can be divisible by 10, the last digit must be 0. So let's see some examples of fraction simplification. If we have, let me see, if we have like, I don't know, 8/16, maybe we can divide this by 2. Sorry. We can divide both numbers by 2. And we will get 4 and 8. We need to continue to simplify many times as we do it. So this fraction can be simplified also dividing by 2. And we will get 2/4. And also another time divided by 2. And we will get 1/2. If you see 8/16, 4/8, 2/4, and 1/2, it's the same fraction because it represents the same part of a total. So let's see another case of fraction simplification. To simplify the next fraction, 27/54, we can make divisions. We can see that we cannot make a division by 2 because 27 isn't divisible by 2. And remember that fraction simplification needs that both numerator and denominator are divided by the same number. So here we can divide by 3 because if we make the sum of these numbers, 7 and 2 gets 9, it's divisible by 3. 5 and 4 gets divisible by 3 because they get number 9, so we will get 9. And if we divide 54 by 3, we'll get 54 divided by 3, 1. So it gets 18. And now we can also divide it by 3. And we will get 3. 6. We will also can divide it by 3. And we will get the same 1/2. So we can get many divisions, or maybe if someone it's better can make the division since the first time. I mean, if you have 27/54, maybe someone who is a little smart can say, I can divide this by 27 and this by 27, and we will get 1/2. So fraction simplification can be simple or can be done in many steps. That depends on your abilities, on maybe how much you remember how this divisibility criteria is used. Let's see another example. If we have 56/24, the first thing that we are going to see, maybe someone can use a bigger number, but the easiest way is it's divisible by 2. So we will get 28/12. It's also divisible by 2. Sorry, it's also divisible by 2. So we will get 14/6, and it's also divisible by 2, and we will get 7/3. So in order to make a simplification, it's only to use division as many times as needed, dividing numerator and denominator by the same number. So let's see a last example. So the last one is going to be a little tricky. It's a big number, 384/256. So the first that can we use is dividing this by number 2, because both of them end in a pair number. So that will give us 192/128. We can also divide it with 2, and that will give us 64/96. We can divide it divided by 2, and that gives us 32/48. We can divide it another time by 2. That will give us 24 over 16. We can divide it again. Number 2 will give us 12 over 8. 12 over 8 can be divided by 2 another time and can be 6/4 and divided again by number 2, and we will get 3/2. So don't bother, you can make all the divisions needed in order to get the most simplified fraction. This is an important part because in all algebra, fractions are always simplified to the least number. So please, now you have all the knowledge needed to answer and upload activity number 3. So it was a pleasure explaining this topic. Thanks, and I'm here for all you need. If you have some questions, please ask me.